Go for it.
What's up, St. Louis? What's up, MLS fans? And what's up, Copa Junior fans? This is your boy Musa, Jeremy, Oscar. Here we go again. Another episode of Top Corner Talk. I know there's a lot of chat already happening on at this moment. So, fellas, it's nice outside. It was
Beautiful
okay in
outside.
Portland. But I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to kind of bring the heat down a little bit because we have some serious talk about St. Louis City dropping another deuce in front of the entire country on Sunday night football or Sunday night soccer for those of you. So, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about that game. Jeremy, my friend, how you're feeling? And just let it out.
Man, it's points lost. It is. I know we're trying a new system, man, but it's inexcusable. I mean, our boy Oscar's out here repping Olaf Melberg in memory of the Sweden kit. Or wait, I'm sorry, there's a badge there. Oh, that's Boca. I'm sorry, I saw the blue and yellow. I could have sworn we were like still mourning the loss of Olaf Melberg. But no. That aside, guys, frustrating night. 3 points tossed away. You take the lead. You have your best performance of the season in terms of expected goals. We were doing a live stream, and Oscar, what did we say throughout it? Expected goals are great, but if they don't turn into real goals, it doesn't matter. Sorry, you're eating there.
No, I'm right now full mode of FIFA Club World Cup. I'm ready to go. From today, 7 days from now, I'll be in the Hard Rock Stadium seeing Boca Juniors against Benfica. So I'm very excited about it. That's why I'm wearing it. Changing my mood from very frustrating St. Louis soccer to something that even if it goes bad, I'm just going to have a blast on.
And you're going, right? If I remember correct, you said you were going to a game down in Florida or no?
Yeah, so next Monday I'll be in Hard Rock Stadium.
Boo.
And on the side of the supporters of Boca Juniors. So hopefully it's going to be a very good environment over there.
Brilliant.
So I'm excited.
Do a lot of recordings because we want to see.
I'll try my best. So I have my wife doing it because I'm going to be just yelling and screaming like crazy.
Okay.
That's even better.
It'll be great.
We want to see it. We want to see you in your normal environment.
In my habitat.
Yes, your normal habitats. Yes.
Oscar in the wild.
Outside, they finally let him out of the capo stand at Energizer Park. Look out, world.
Look out. I don't compare to anything that those is gonna bring. Thankfully, like my section where they gave me the seats is not right in the middle next to them. So I'll just because now I will be a little scared, especially with my wife next to me.
Okay, Oscar's scared. Okay, but yes, so I'm bringing that back to the city game. So, Oscar, how are you feeling about the overall game before we go into more detail?
I mean, there was good things and bad things, obviously. The good things, we actually played an entertaining game, entertaining soccer for probably the most entertaining game we have seen the entire year. So, especially in the first half. But we go back to the same thing. We have to play 90 minutes. We cannot just play 45, 50, 60 minutes. We have to play 90. And this team seems that cannot find that way. And I would prefer if a team plays bad the first half and then finishes strong, like kind of like what Portland did. But we always giving up it just at the end, and at the end is where it hurts the most. So it's very frustrating. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the next games. Obviously, I'm not going to be in the home games. I'll definitely try my best to watch, but I'm on vacation mode, so I might not be fully following, and I don't want to stress out my vacations, you know.
We'll make sure we'll text you every 35 seconds.
And we'll make sure Charlie gets his milk. Don't worry.
There you go.
Damn.
I'm sure it has a delivery.
Even when Charlie's unavailable, he's still getting called out. But
No.
hey, but yes, well, hopefully, Charlie had to a few change. So as you see, going live, there's always something else that happens. But with that say, I watched the game after it happened. So I think I did see Ryan's mentioning about getting, the scores um, before it happened. Ryan, I can tell you that when I watch the games after the game, um, my wife and kids hate me because I give them direction on how to start the game so I do not see the score. And I had a lot of eyeballs yesterday because I said, do this and that, this and that. Why ain't you watching it? I don't want to know the score. So, yes, right? I totally understand that part of the seeing the score without wanting it. But so going to the first half, there was quite a few events there that almost should have had the game almost put to bed early. So, Jeremy, thoughts on the 45 and the two seaters that were missed?
I mean, you've got in that first half alone. I just pulled up the stats right on cue to look at them because I've been waiting all day for this. You had, and again, I know expected goals doesn't matter, but when we're talking about quality chances, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 chances at 0.2 or higher in just the first half. And you've got to convert them. Klaus had a sitter he missed. Hartle from inside the 6. I know the angle was tough, but he didn't even test the keeper. He put it wide. I don't know. And I tried to ask post game with Critch, is it a confidence thing? Like what is the problem? What is the barrier here? Because you've got to put something on net. We said it on the stream. At least make the keeper make a save there. Like if he gets it on the net and the keeper makes a save like Berkey did on the other end in the second half, okay, fine. I can live with it. But it's the blatant misses by the guys. Two of them, you're designated players. You've got to demand more from the guys making the big bucks.
And when we're talking about like launching the Klaus one was like a nightmare. And hopefully he has nightmares about it as well.
Yeah. I mean, it was. I would say like that one. Yes, you expect your number 9 and your DP to put that on frame. It's a difficult ball, but also he had time. He could have settled the ball and actually pick where to shoot. But I think it becomes, and I'm not excusing the players. I'm not saying, oh, let's just give him more chance. No, like I'm just saying that it was a difficult ball. With that confidence that they have right now that is low, the pressure and the frustration, I think all that up to finishing that way. I think he definitely rushed it because it's like, oh, this is my chance. I need to score. And he got 2 over his head. And obviously, it's sky the ball. That I'll give Klaus a little bit of, okay, you had a little wiggle room there. You should put it on frame. Yes. The Betcher one, there's not. No, like you're facing with the ball control on your feet, you're facing, you seeing it, and you put it wide. Really, you gotta make the goalkeeper make a save. And then the hardtail one, that it was Klaus a good shot, Watts a poor shot, and then Hardtail a very poor shot. So I would say I would expect that shot from Watts, that you would think he should score because he was wide open. But he put it on frame. He forced the goalkeeper to save it. But then Hartel with a little more difficult, more pressure opportunity, he just sends it completely wide. He missed the goal completely. So what can we do, or what can a coach do, or anybody can do to fix those things, there's no answer to that. That's just goes on the players, it's straight on the players, mentality player, and I don't know, just like maybe we were unlucky. It plays a little bit of on the game, and people are like, I know, unlucky. There's no luck in soccer. There is. In some points, they just doesn't want to go in the way that you're supposed to put it in. But it was frustrating in the end because if we score 2 or 3 of those in the first half, or we score all 3 on the first half, then we dominate the game. We had it under control, and we don't have to suffer that much in our head. No.
Yes. And I think, like you mentioned, I think it has to do a lot with also like the mental state, because I think especially when you miss these type of shots, especially when you know probably 90% of the time you will score those type of goals, then the mental style, mental state of it shows up. And maybe that's where then those misses, you miss one, then you're like, oh, here we go again. And then one of those ugly cycles, then keeps going and going and going. And you could see, like, when you saw Hartel and then Klaus, and then you see Watts, you see 3 players. Those are pro guys, right? So they've done these type of shots thousands of times. It just happened that time it did not happen. So I think it's one of those situations. Maybe a lot of the things that's happening for our team itself, it's all mental, and they just need to kind of get that groove where when I know I'm going to shoot the ball, I know I'm going to put it on frame or I'm going to score. But if you have a little bit of that doubt, you're about to go and get the ball in the bleachers. And right, so that's why you were saying the Klaus one, right? A lot of players, when you see their confidence are 110%, he probably would have tapped in the ball instead of trying to roof it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like more confidence-wise, where it's like, we're probably going to talk about it for the second half of it, because Anthony showed us that. So
yeah, I mean, one thing that so especially on the first shot of Klaus, that it was like that we forced a mistake, got 3 shots on that one. But I saw video clips of practice, right? I think it was Wednesday or Tuesday. I don't there was a practice when they were practicing shooting, and Klaus was nailing every single shot. Good finishes to the corner, top corner, lob corner. There was 3 or 4 of those, and I said like, oh, he is looking clean. But the thing, like, looking clean on practice is that you have repetition after repetition. You don't have nobody pressuring you. Nobody is coming at you. And then in game, you'd see something completely different, the way that they rush those finishes. Because, I mean, Klaus had time to, in the first half, he took a good shot, but he also had time. So it's like, why that pressure is coming up so quick? Obviously, we're just gonna repeat. It's just lack of confidence. It's a lack of not scoring to get into that role. Because if you had a forward that is on fire, he finishes all those options with their eyes closed.
Or try something weird, but their confidence tells them that I most likely would hit the frame, and it happens. But yeah, Jeremy, it looks like you were going to probably give us a little bit more stats on the first half itself.
It wasn't necessarily a stat, and I know we haven't got through the second half, but we talked a little bit about rushing and City not taking their time, and the mentality. I think we've got 3 quotes from Akil Watts post game that say all of those things, saying we have to be more clinical, more composed, and take our time, and that it's a mentality thing. It's the end of the at the end of the game, and we'll get there. But they fell asleep at the wrong moment, and we see what happened. We should have put the game away early. We didn't, and it bit us in the butt. I mean, the players are owning this, I think, to an extent. But yeah, and I'm curious what you guys think too, as we get through the rest of the conversation about the game with David Critchley, the caretaker manager, after the game, talking about his role and keeping the guys confident and talking about how he has to make sure he continues to remind them that he's in their corner, he supports them, and he's going to be with them and to try to lift them up. And if you think that's going to do anything meaningful to help these guys get their scoring touch back.
Oscar?
I think we need a game where everything goes well. Like everything. Like absolutely everything. That you sneeze and you score a goal. Basically. Right? Like we have worked good on some pieces of the games. We have been improving. The past 2 games were good improvements, and the way that we see how we can find our style of play, or even like just attacking the flaws of the team. Because let's say the way that we play San Jose was not the same way that we play Portland, and that's a very good thing to do, because you don't play every game the same.
Right.
You adapt. We exploded very well what Portland was lacking, that it was like long balls and not midfielder to get the second ball. We destroy them on second balls in the first half. So that's good. But what I'm saying is like we do have to get something that it goes everything right. To the moments that maybe we're getting attacked a lot and we get 4 or 5 crossbars or something that Berkey doesn't make it safe, but there's crossbar after crossbar after crossbar, and you're like, oh my gosh, like we're blessed, right? And then you go on the other side and you take a 40-yard shot and gets a double deflection and goes in. Something like that. That it would see like, hey, things are going our way, and then you keep pounding on it. I think we need a game like that. When it's gonna happen? It could be LA, because technically is the weakest of the West. So if you force that luck and you take shot after shot after shot and something make it happen, it could bring that confidence up. It's what we talked before the Omaha game, that we wanted that game to be the reset, right? The let's beat them 5-6-0, so we can have a reset and say like, hey, things are going our way. We want that. So I think something like that, it needs to happen to get that confidence back. The probability that will happen, I don't know.
And I think that's one of the things that kind of like the way he's taking. But it also kind of shows us that with Olaf, the team was so broken down that now you sort of have needing your coach to be more of like, your cheerleader for, to kind of bring you back to you enjoying playing football to begin with, right? Because when you have 11 game streak of losing, you're not enjoying your soccer after that, right? So it looks like we're almost on the kind of a reset of mentality that he has to come back, bring, kind of remind the players how they started and what made them great, and kind of try to bring them back to it. So it looks like he has more of a work than just being the coach and give them the tactic. So now he also has to play a little bit more of the father figure and motivation speaker at the same time. And I think that's why he was saying during the presser, right, that he keeps on reminding them of the good things they're doing, because that's what you want them to come out of the lost, is that what we have done well that we could do better, versus having someone that says, I don't have the players that I need to win games. So I think so. Looks like we're on a very much mentality like reset of it. And you see the guys a lot of them are smiling and having a little bit more fun. And I think that's what's kind of missing when you lose that much.
We see it every year.
Yeah, I would like to see what happens after this defeat, because obviously we beat San Jose, so everything was a little bit better, right? Like you win, you go into practice in a better mood. Like we just won, we got out of that funk, we finished our bad streak or whatever. But now it's kind of like it hits you. You hit the wall again, and so like, hey, reality just hits you again. reality said, no, you still suck. You're still giving up easy goals, and you're still giving up goals at the end of the games. You're not finishing games, and you cannot accomplish a full 90, a full solid 90 where you win a game or at least tie the game and not be that team that you're just give up so much because we just keep giving things up. So I think reality just hit them hard again. And I noticed when at the end of the game, what at least I saw, like Berkey was not the Berkey I've seen like pissed off or anything. I think he was just defeated.
which is
His face was different.
Mhm. Well, so I think if we're talking about the game as a whole, and Critchley after the game did say that he felt there were many more positives to take. I think Charlie's the one that asked him. He said 100%, many more positives than negatives. The result doesn't go our way today, but my message was clear. My emotions are not disappointment, not anger, not frustration. My emotions is that I'm proud, excited for the near future for this team. So Critchley seems to be optimistic even after the loss. I just don't know the things that worked so well in the first half, where we had a 1.49 to 0.19 expected goals advantage at the break, and 9-5 lead in shots after the first 45. It just disappeared in that second half because Portland really grew into the game. But the one thing you will say, you can't take it out of it, but Anthony's goal, that goal where he flicked it over Totland and then really just backed Kessler down and just put it top corner, you're not going to concede a worldy goal like that every week, right? Like you're not going to do that every week.
all right. So yes, I guess we'll jump to the second half. But yes,
Wait, where did he put it?
To upper 90, top bins, didn't it? Looked like it was pretty
was
good.
it that? Yeah, I think it
Was
was
it
close
the
to the
top
upper
corner?
90. Yeah.
It looked
At
there,
the top corner.
top corner. Yeah.
What a plug.
No, so I mean, yeah, if first half the thing is like we did a lot, but we didn't do anything. At the end of the day, we had a really good performance. We had possession was, I believe, 61% in favor of City at the end of half, and we were not able to accomplish a lead. So at the end of the day, that doesn't tell you anything. Yes, we played better. We exposed them on the long balls that I was on the game telling in the watch along that their strategy for Portland was basically sit on the last third and wait until Berkey played the long ball or force Berkey to play the long ball and then go retrieve that ball. The issue with that with Portland was that they were not winning the second balls. They were winning the first one most of the time, and not even, I would say, like a 50-50 chance, a 50-50% that Portland won the ball. The other 50, St. Louis won the ball with Klaus winning the header or Betcher winning the 50-50. But then when they were losing that 50-50, the second ball was almost 90% of the time was St. Louis winning it. So that's where Portland was failing. It was not that we were extremely dominating the game. We were controlling the pace of the game, but not dominating the game. We were just sending 50-50 balls and winning the second ball. And then we were advancing.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Mo.
Go ahead.
I don't go ahead. You're gonna finish your thought?
No, we're just saying, like, the way that we were finishing those plays, that we were getting wide with our system, getting our left back and our right back deep, wide, and we were opening spaces. So that's why even when we were not playing to cross the ball all the time, we were opening the spaces to play through balls through the middle. Klaus and Betcher had a couple of times where they sneaked behind the center backs line with a good pass from Hertel or Celio. Like they were finding those. And the last thing I would say for that first half is that we were the mentality of different coaching, and I said it multiple times in the cast before, it was that now they're actually looking for those through passes. We're not looking to play this safe pass all the time. They're actually Timo, Kessler, and the center mids, they were all looking to play those through balls, breaking lines that we were not doing before.
Yeah, and to that point about build-up play, whether it was the first half or the second half or both, I was looking at Ben Griffiths has a really cool Streamlit site, and his post-match graphic has passing flows, not just the map, but his graphic has arrows that show you how play was built up, the channels that the ball was being played through, and the difference between what I saw with Portland, where their arrows were advancing the ball into the attacking third through the center of the pitch, through their center midfield, is a stark contrast to what you see with City. Our passing in the center of the park is just lateral, right to left, right to left. There's very little, into that forward third. Most of our attacking play was down the wings, which is fine. We were using Tot. I mean, we didn't really use Tots a lot to build. It was really down the left through Reed and Hartle and Pompeu. But that's got to be a fix. And granted, we didn't have Leuven, so you probably expect that a little bit, right? Because you're relying on Akil Watts and Alfredo Morales. So maybe you expect it, but it makes it very easy to defend against, in my opinion. What's up, Mo?
Oh, sorry, no, I think I lost you guys for a second. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm good. I was just finishing my thought there about our lack of buildup through the middle of the field.
Yeah, and I think what started to kind of show, it looks like maybe got a little bit of out coach as well, because it seems like we have the tendencies of the last 30 minutes or so, kind of losing a lot of the ball and conceding a lot of the goals towards there. It almost felt like maybe Neville kind of kept that in his back pocket to have and unleash Anthony towards the end of that game. Because like you mentioned, right, that the way he went all around Tottenham, right? I think for me, the moment I saw that dribble, I was like, now Anthony's going to be the worst nightmare of our back line until the referee says the game's over. Because when you let that kind of dribble pass you, any forwards or any offensive players like, oh, I got you. And the confidence that we were talking about, right? That's why Anthony then became literally for the past 35 minutes towards the end of that game. He was their best player, and every ball went through him first. So it almost felt like maybe Neville and Portland had that game plan towards the end of the 35 minutes, we will play more aggressive and maybe, take a lot of those chances away from City and say, hey, you try to score, and if you don't, we'll punish you. And it seems like that was their game plan towards the half. And you saw Neville was pissed off a lot of the times, right? He was very vocal, and I think he almost led by example for the rest of the team, because that's where the yellow cards start flying as well. So
yeah,
that was my thought. Maybe the game plan for, hey, we were able to keep them from scoring on us for the first half, give them a little bit the second half, and then unleash it for the last 35.
But they weren't able, they didn't keep us from scoring because they were good. We kept ourselves from scoring. Let's just call that what it is.
But yes, but that's the game plan, right? They were not able to beat us at our worst.
Oh.
So when you get to the second half, it's like, hey, they can't even score. And we've given them the opportunity. So now let's try our side. And I think that's where the difference was that City, we've tried everything and we cannot score. Portland they've tried everything and they cannot score. And then Anthony does one dribble and it's like, hey, I'm going to play with a big flair, Brazilian-like soccer. And we're talking about, what, a 23-year-old player? That's all
but
it
he's
takes.
But he's Oscar, you said it during the broadcast. He's what you want in a DP. Like he's a game-changing player.
Is he a DP though?
or a
Or was
high
it a
quality player,
U22?
even if it's not a DP, like at least he's one of your higher
Yes. So I think
players. I
they
mean,
he's
he's
say he was
valuing
like a
3.7
U22.
million.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
I'll
valuing
double check.
3.7 million, and we don't have many of those players in our squad. One thing. So if we jump in, obviously we jump in on the second half.
Yeah.
One big thing that I noticed was our shape when we lose the ball, when we didn't have the ball, was a lot more committed and organized in the first half than it was the second half. And per se, is where this first goal came in is because if Jeremy, if you remember, I was telling you all the time that when we were defending, we were a 4-4-2, right?
Mhm.
And that Betcher was on the right mid, closing that flank, basically. What happened on the goal of Anthony? Where was Totland? He was too high up, too wide and too high up. Things that never happened on first half. First half, we mentioned, look how Totland is so tight with the center backs because Betcher was covering the wide play. Well, Betcher didn't do any of that job in the second half. None of it. It's like
Yeah.
we changed the shape. So it's like if something was working on first half, why we didn't continue doing it? Because we got tired, because there was a different order. Because this happened before even Portland made the substitutions. So it was just an adjustment that Portland did, and Critchley didn't see it. I don't know what happened there. It's hard to explain why Betcher was not making that coverage as he did it before. And that's where it created the hole between him. Totland had to go too far out on the line because he goes and closes a ball that he doesn't have to. He's way too far, right? He committed a brilliant move from Anthony, gets behind his back. Kessler gets in the middle of nowhere because he's either do I go close him and go out or retreat. He picks to retreat. Then he retreats too much and gives space to a brilliant finish from Anthony. That's my rating of the goal. And I think it started with better positioning.
That's a great shout. I was trying to find Critch's explanation from the post game because he did speak to making adjustments to move Betcher and Hartle more into a role where they could run in behind off of Klaus, which did work seemingly well in the first half. But maybe that's part of why he was so far up the pitch and not able to track back. It could have just been an adjustment on that side. And he did say, Betcher was going up top with Klaus, setting and kind of not really playing much in the midfield. But Critch did say, it's his job as a coach to work on tactics and find those spaces to get the players in places where they can be successful. And one of the rotations was to move Simon to the highest line to stretch their back line, and then having Cello and Klaus in those little half spaces where they could get into the ball. He said they did that in the first half. It was really well. They were able to create chances, but it didn't work as well in the second half. And that's one area where he said he has to be better.
So I mean, he's still, at least he's like recognizing, but I don't understand why he made the change because I don't see that happening on the first half. When we were in the first half, like Betcher obviously was playing. When we had the ball, Betcher was pushing up and getting behind the spaces that Klaus was bringing in. But second half, there was not either that or the defensive side. Like we never saw Betcher getting behind anybody. There was a huge disorganization between the three on the top, but I don't know why it changed when they were flowing a lot better in the first half. Yeah. And then if you lose the ball, why we said, hey, Betcher, you don't got to go back. Now just stay up there when he was really working, covering that, and giving Tottenham that support?
That's a good question. Are we talking conditioning weather-wise or something like that?
I don't even think it's conditioning because Betcher was still running like a bull, just not finding the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, that takes a lot chasing a ball.
I
But
mean,
it
you
was,
did,
but it was bad positioning from him for the first,
so
like to start of.
all right. So I do want to go. I want to ask you guys this question. So the term we heard a lot under Olaf, as we're talking about fitness now, is was rest defense. With Critch now in control of this team, are we playing as much rest defense and recovering? Is that part of the challenge of this? Because we knew it was 95 degrees, they said, on turf. So the weather was a factor for both teams. They, being Portland, maybe handled it better, but is it because we're not doing as good of a job as of a rest defense and being in a spot to maybe not have to make those really full-on runs as often? Or is it was the play style the problem because we're playing so direct where we're having to make those long passes and chase balls the entire game?
I I think for me it's just shit. We were doing too much of that rest defense because that's where they were. The center back, right back, and left back were having so much passes during the game, um, and I think it's one of those high risk and high reward type of situations that we just happened to find Anthony that find his groove towards the end of what City is very bad at, which is managing the end of a game, right? Because Anthony was playing, half decent, good during the first half, and a little bit towards the first half of the second half. But as you can see, that's when he started to take on Tottenham, and Kessler was at the end when everybody and their brother knows that currently City will give you a lot of goals towards the end. So I think it was one of those high risk, high reward type of games. But also at the same time, are they still trying to get back to that system that they're aware of?
I mean, there's adjustments going on. I don't think anybody can watch this game and see that we aren't still working through the adjustments.
Yeah.
I just wonder how much of it is that, and I saw it in the chat earlier. I'm going to bring this up, I guess now. I think it was Ryan Fraley mentioned it because, we talked about it on the stream. We didn't looking at the bench. There wasn't a real game changer. Maybe Jean de Silva is the closest thing on the bench we had to that last night.
We'll touch that one.
But well, we'll get there, right? We'll get to
Yes.
Jean Day. But my question though is with what we've seen last night, looking at some numbers, and I'm not going to waste my time diving crazy into the stats, but I thought it would be interesting to look at our expected goal players and what they've scored. So right now, João Klaus has an expected goals of 3.8. So basically 4. He's only got 2 on the season. So he's only converted about half of what he should have converted. Marcel Hartl in the same boat, 3.6 expected goals, 2 actual goals. Simon Betcher has a 3.5 expected goals, has only put 1 in the net. And then Cedric Toikert's dead even at 3 expected. And so Toikert's got what he should have. The other one, Conrad Vollum, has an expected goals of 1.9, has yet to score. So your lack of a true consistent finisher is underscored in this game. The transfer window opens July 24th. Is that dedicated number 9 or a 10 or just a goal scorer at the top of the list for us now? I think it has to be, right?
For me, it has to be. But also, I think midfielder that a little bit more creative, like midfielder that can either fill in for moving or play or kind of for these guys to be in a rotation for, because I think the creativity is still missing in the midfield when Leuven's not playing. I think that's those 2 positions for me.
I said it I think a number 9 would be the main priority, but if you can get a 10 that scores and assists the same way, then you would want to have that player instead of. But obviously, that's a harder player to find, a one that combines both of them. I put a lot of examples of, like, I think I was talking to Aaron yesterday on the chat after the game on WhatsApp, and I show him like a lot of different players, like the goal participations of Chicho Arango, Joseph Martinez, Lucha Costa is not very good right now, but if you look at the last year, obviously it's huge. If you look at player like Evander Ferreira, if you look at Forsberg, Choupo-Moting, those are the type of players you want. That it has at least 9 to 10 participation on goals, either a goal or an assist.
Right.
We have 3 of our technically main players on 2. They have done 2, either 2 assists or 2 goals, or 1 assist and 1 goal, or like things like that's like the top of it. Obviously, we cannot be a top team when you have that. And then you add Lewin, and a lot of people are saying, obviously, starting to say like, "Hey, I think we have to move on from Lewin." And it sounds rough, it sounds harsh. I think we do. In my opinions, yes, we do. You're occupying, and yes, life goes before soccer, and I'm not saying any of that, but at the same time, like this is a team that needs a player like him, but every game.
Yeah.
And the entire season. So can we afford to have a player that only plays half of the season, or maybe less than half of the season? I don't think we can, especially when we were just coming out of a very poor season last year. And this was supposed to be the turnaround season and show that we could be a successful club. And we're even doing worse.
Mhm.
So
Well,
can we afford it? No.
It goes beyond just Leuven. I mean, we're 17 games in. Where's Rasmus Holm? Where's Joachim Nilsson? I mean, we talk about Leuven because it's the midfield in the middle of the park falls apart without him, but he's far from the only player who's taken up a spot and isn't performing or isn't even on the pitch when they are.
Yeah, and that's that one point too, right? We're talking millions of dollars that are sitting on the bench or the physio table on a weekly basis. Where that's maybe 1 or 2 players, or maybe sometimes 3 players that could have been brought in for that rotation. So I think we're in those tricky situations on who to bring in. But yeah, I think midfield and a striker, if feasible, will be the right time. We just need someone creative. So I think one that Oscar, you all the names that you've mentioned, all of those players, when a coach have them on their team, is like, here are my small instructions of what I want you to do for the team in general, but the rest, it's up to you to create. And I think that's where the creative players shine the most, is because they have 1 or 2 instructions, and then the rest is based on what the game dictate to them, and then they create magic from there. But when you have 11 players with the same tactic, then you're predictable at all time, and you have the stats to show you what a team's going to do anyways.
So I'm going to bring you, so just to hit more on what I think is our biggest issue that is recruiting.
Dun, dun,
So
dun,
now
dun.
we realize that Anthony is a U22 player, right?
Yep,
Or
he
is in a
is.
U22 deal.
Yep.
This year he has scored 6 goals and has assist 5. So that's 11 contributions for a U22. So now let's go back to our team and look at our wonderful U22 player, JGR. Play 4 games, 0 goals, 0 assists. Is a center mid that is not going to produce anything, basically. Just, I mean, he can do his job, but he's not going to contribute on goals as much, right? Out of those games, he has played 26 minutes, 81 minutes, 66 minutes, and 90 minutes. So that's his participation, basically, on this year.
Mhm.
Let's go to our older U22 player, right? That is Durkin, right?
Mhm.
He lives in a hospital
No,
as well. I love Durkin. He's the type of player that I like because he remembers the way that I used to play, like hard, hat head, going on hard tackles, keep running, wanting to score goals, all that type of scenarios. But he lives in a hospital. 8 games this season, obviously 0 goals, 0 assists. Just with those two, comparing to Anthony, I'm telling you what is our problem. Our recruiting mentality. Are we really using something that is supposed to be an advantage as the U22 players correctly? No, we had 2 center mids. Portland has a left winger that is getting tired of scoring goals. Who is another U22 player that he was known by changing games? That obviously is not a U22 now, and he's not in Atlanta United anymore. But how he started, Almada, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, he's
What
different.
Almada did? Destroyed the league. So there's my problem. We are bringing players just to fill up spots. What we were expecting from JGR, what we were expecting from Durkin, to put him in such a high spot or like a priority spot.
So
I thought
I think
GTR was maybe
Go ahead.
someone to buy low and sell high. The way he was going to, Australia's first team through their system and going to the national team. I thought he was more of like, see what we can do with this young kid that's coming up the food chain. Maybe he's now in that situation that we're in the dire in the midfield, that maybe that's when he's now has to become a fixture as a CM. And I think maybe that's why he was also a little bit more protected towards last year, maybe. And Durkin is just, unfortunately, I guess, who knows what's happening, but injury prone, keeps on coming back at us.
so. So here's the thing to keep in mind too. I mean, so we're talking about. I'm just going to go with the JGR versus Anthony, right? So both of them under our U22 players. Both of them carry the same salary charge against in the ML in the Don Garber rule book of $200,000 against the salary cap. But when you're talking salary, Anthony's guaranteed compensation is about $490,000. JGR is making just under or just over $300,000. So there's an almost $200,000 gap in what you're paying. But the bigger piece, when Portland bought Anthony, they spent 3.2 million euros to buy him from FC Aruca in Portugal, I believe. So they invested heavily And so I think it's a reflection of one, Portland spending more than we do, but to your point, Oscar, I'll second them investing in places that make a difference. It's not to say that JGR can't make a difference because he might play center back, he might play DM, but they're not the guys that are going to be. I don't want to say they're not. It sucks to say this, but they're not the guys that are going to win you games 95% of the time. It's going to be the guys putting the ball in the back of the net, right? Like that's
he's not
who
going
I
to save your games either.
no. So, but Anthony can change a game, and he did, and that's the difference. It's where you're spending. It's not just how much, but it's where they're spending in their squad.
So it looks like so we were going like kind of backward from Berkey, and then we went to the defense because it looks like when we first started the team, right? Berkey was the staple guys that was brought in, and then Nielsen was the staple guy that was brought in, and then after that we got to the midfield, and it was Leuven. So I'm wondering if now that we're starting to kind of learn more about the league itself, how can we attract some of those players to come to St. Louis? Because it's one thing about recruiting, but the second one is, do you have the pipelines to get for someone to pick up the phone and says, hey, look who we have here, and they might be interested in coming?
No, I think what you got to do is to these players entice them on. We're gonna build a team around you as a young. Like we have a big trust and belief that you are the one that's gonna be able to turn things around, especially for a U22 where you put in that much hope. I mean, they did it. I go back like they did it with Almada, for example. Like Atlanta United put a lot of money into him, but at the same time, like I said, like you're gonna be our star. You are gonna be the one that's gonna lead us to victory, and he did. That's what you have to tell these young players, and most of the people say, I don't want an old retiring player to come here and be the superstar that we want because he's gonna be old and retiring. Then let's do it this way. Let's do the U22, but you have to bring superstars that U22s.
And sometimes it's a gamble as well.
But it's a gamble if you're really not doing your research, if you're not really looking into the right players.
It's always a gamble, though.
But do you think? I mean, we will see in 6 or in a year if your gamble proves to be correct or wrong with this guy. I'm gonna say it. The Real Madrid new sign from River Plate, the new Argentinian guy that he is, I believe,
I forgot his name.
16. It's in I cannot even pronounce the last name, and I speak Spanish.
It's your
but
fault.
and this guy, there you go.
Mate
Alejo put
Bueno.
it in there. This guy just coming to Real Madrid. Are they gambling, or they know what they're doing?
Well, I could give you names that you think they were going to do well, but it took them a few times to come up. And perfect example for City, for my team, Chelsea, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 young Brazilians that they've purchased. Out of the 8, there's 3 of them that will be going to Chelsea next year. The rest are staying in Strasbourg because they have not made it to the thing. So I'm just saying that it's always a gamble. It's not always a guarantee. But the thing that we would like to see is that the way the team is built at this moment was that it is built on players that have had experience around, like the Leuven and others, and brought them and made them the staple. We have not gone youth is the staple for St. Louis just yet. And I would love to see it because my biggest thing is if you tell a 17-year-old that I am going to make you the staple of our team, I am 110% for it. That's how all my teams are built for.
Are you talking strictly from the academy, Mo, or are you talking?
Oh no,
No,
just
okay.
recruiting
Yeah.
from everywhere. And we also have to give it credit, right? A lot of those teams were like MLS generations, right? Where it's MLS 1.0, MLS 2.0, right? So they have that entire system and network. And the West Coast does help when someone says, where you going. So yes, Lutz has his network. He has some of his recruiters in us, but the network that you build throughout the years also means a lot.
Yeah. By the way, I was looking just out of, we didn't mention who all scored. So we've got the worldie from Anthony. They got the winner in second half stoppage time off the foot of David Ayala. By the way, he's an under 22 player as well. His transfer fee was $3.1 million when he joined in 2021 from the Estudiantes in Argentina.
That's our whole budget.
So I mean, but my point is, I guess what I'm trying to get at is cities like, oh, we want to invest in under 22 as our model, but where are we spending our money?
And we had one extra spot, right?
We have an extra supplemental spot now. The senior roster is technically full again, I believe, because we.
No, I'm saying like, didn't we pick the 3 U22 or I'm wrong?
No, we did. We switched to the U22 model, but we're not following it, not doing it because we filled the roster up getting Jean De Silva. So we got Silva, yeah.
So Ayala, and you will see, okay, so he has 2 goals and 1 assist. So she has 3 more participations, contributions than JGR and Durkin. He has played 16 games. Last year he played 30 games. Another one that I was looking at, so there's Thomas Angel is in San Diego. Pedro Vite is in Vancouver Whitecaps. Also Campos. So like that one's curious. So they have a defender and they have a midfielder, but that midfielder scores goals, and Ocampo, the defender, gives assists. At least a couple of them. So, and then if you go to the list, I was looking around. Real Salt Lake, who you think they have as a U22 player?
Who? Portland?
Diego Luna.
Oh yeah.
He's different. He's
different, but we can find those different players in another country, not in the Bundesliga too.
But did you say Luna, right? He's an outlier.
He's an outlier.
Yes, because he went to the USL system and he grinded out. I think he's like what I tell you, if Diego Luna, I'm telling you, if Diego Luna, if the US will figure out that if the talent that they have, and this will almost take it outside of MLS, right? But if the US trying to figure out that the blueprint that they have in this entire country, 10 to 15 Diego Lunas, and that we all know they're there, the US national team will be different. That's why I say he's like almost the outlier, because he went the route. He did not go to the academy. I watched his interview with Landon Donovan and all that. He turned down a MLS academy to go to the USL to prove himself, and then came back up to MLS. That's why I say he's an outlier.
I mean, he has proven. Like, I mean, he challenged himself, and he's done it. Yeah. But at the same time, like, you can find those type of players in Argentina. You can find those players in Brazil, but they're, no offense to Celio and Klaus, but the real Brazil.
Ouch.
So
yeah, ouch for them. I'm gonna keep beating the horse in this, because not even going far, I'm going back to Portland. They have Kevin Kelsey, a Venezuelan guy, 5 goals.
Yeah,
this year, 16 games. Last year in Cincinnati, he scored 6 goals. And just hold on. Don't go anywhere. Stay in Portland. Stay in Portland because there is Santiago Moreno, the one who probably scored the best goal of MLS season with that bicycle kick a month ago or so. He is also a U22, and he has played 15 games, has scored 4 goals and assists 3.
Yeah.
Now,
So
remind
go
me,
ahead, Austin.
Santiago is Colombian. Kevin Kelsey is Venezuelan. David Ayala is from Argentina. And Anthony is from Brazil. How many of those markets we have touched in the past 5 years of Lutz's 5-year plan? 0. Because Celio didn't come from that market. And Klaus didn't come from that market.
Yeah, but they're from 2 different. Why is Celio not part of that market?
No,
Just because he
because
went to
Celio didn't
college
come
here?
from Brazil. Celio didn't come from Brazil, Brazilian league.
Yeah, but he went from academy to high school, then college, then
Here,
yeah.
not playing professional in Brazil,
But that
not
doesn't
playing
matter,
professional
does
in,
it?
huh?
That doesn't matter. I can tell. There's tons of
It
players
is.
that
It does matter. It tells you the quality of the players.
no, come on. I can tell you a whole bunch of French players that
Okay,
have never stepped foot in
I'm
League
sorry,
1.
but compare. I love Celio, and is probably the most talented and skillful player in St. Louis City.
But I think he got the Brazilian flair, though. I mean,
He does.
even though he did
Is
not
he-
play
is-
in the Brazilian league, but I can tell you a whole bunch of soccer players from the French national team that have never stepped foot in League 1.
I
they
don't know.
play like it.
I don't agree. I don't agree because I don't think even Celio, with how good he is, he doesn't compare to the level that Anthony can bring up.
He's not. But I don't know. I don't think the country.
So that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like he's not gonna be that player.
So
And
I'm curious.
He's not, and he's also not part of that market. That's what I mean. Like he was not built in that market.
I guess we could say that. A lot of Brazilians, they leave their country by the age 15, 16. There, most of their life is elsewhere.
I mean, well, yeah. If you put Hendrick in it, like 16, he's in Real Madrid. So that's the difference.
Yeah, but Estevez is in Chelsea. He left at 16.
Exactly.
We have like 5 or 6. But yes, that's what I'm saying.
But and then you're saying that Celio left the country at 15, 16 to go to the academy in the United States and then to play high school and college. Huge difference.
I think he went straight to high school. He went
like whatever he did. But at the same, it's like he was not that type of player where he was in the academies in Brazil and they saw and say, "Hey, you gotta go over there."
But where is Anthony from? Did he mean to? Because I to be honest, I've never knew.
I think Jeremy was saying he came from Portugal.
So Anthony, give me a moment and I'll tell you where he transferred from. I'm looking at it right now. Well, first I'll tell you Kevin Kelsey cost £6 million when Portland bought him. So yes, he
MLS
was
2.0 right there.
But Anthony transferred from Arouca, FC Arouca in Portugal.
See,
for a 3.2.
I mean, it's a big Brazilian market.
Yeah. So, but here's what I'm going to say. Going back to the point of investment, if you're going to do the U22 model,
yes, man,
Portland is a way to look at it. So they've got three of their 420 U22 players have cost around $12 million total, or 12 million euros. So they've spent the money to invest to build to this model. And it's something Phil Neville even talked about at the post-match press conference or post-match interview on Apple TV when he mentioned, we have a lot of young guys in this team. They still have to learn a lot from our experienced guys because they do have Jonathan Rodriguez, their other center forward. They bought from Club America. for €4 million euros. So, but he's 30. So his job is to not only play, but also to teach these young guys how to be professionals, how to develop at this next level within MLS. So that's a team. I hate to say, if we're looking at a model, if we're truly sticking with the U22 system in St. Louis, maybe we look at what Portland has done and look at something to do there, because it seems to work. Portland has consistently been in contention, and they're sitting fourth in the West right now.
That means City has to wipe clean of literally their entire bench.
And they're always like, Portland has always been recognized by bringing a lot of South American players. I mean, when they have the big
West Coast,
moments,
right?
they had,
They're in the West
West
Coast.
Coast. Yeah. So, hey, the last thing I'm going to say from Anthony, because you were saying he left Brazil when he was 18. He played in Corinthians. He only played 3 games there, and he was sold to the Arouca in Portugal.
So 18.
In Portugal, he played 2 seasons and about 63 games before Portland took him.
Yeah. The way I'm seeing is that we're comparing a very big team that spent a lot of money.
Okay, so then this gives you like the next step of where I go to with our problems. My starting point is recruiting and the type of recruiting we bring, right? The skill or the type of player we bring. That was my main thing. Now, this is the next step. Now we're saying there's these players, but you have to put this much money to get them. Is it the problem we're not finding the players, or we're finding the players, but we're saying we don't want to spend that money? Is it now?
It's probably all the above.
Is it now that we actually found the players? I don't think we found the players yet. In my opinion, we have not found the players yet.
So
I think our recruitment has been very poor, and we don't go to that type of player and say, "Hey, we want to see how much it would cost," and then we move to the next step. I think that's where we're stopping. But maybe I'm wrong, and they say like, "Hey, maybe we're finding the players," but then there's here goes Caroline, and no, we're not putting that much money.
Oh, so I was looking at the history of Portland. If I'm reading right, their history starts in 1975. So we're talking a leadership team and all of that have been working on the ins and outs of networking, building their system, building scouts, lots of money. So I think sometimes that's why I try to kind of stay. Maybe if we try to compare ourselves to maybe some other teams that may be newer than us or close enough, so that we can kind of compare the type of investments that our team can do versus others. Because the name you mentioned, right? You're talking $3, $4, $5, $6, $8 million players. We would have loved to have that much, but you see how our team was built, right? A lot of them were in the MLS minimums for a time.
Can we start with one?
You can. So it will then.
Can we start our history with getting one of those?
I thought they were starting with experience first. I thought that's why I saw.
But hold on. Remember, that was the whole thing with Toykert. We had to wait for Toykert because we didn't want to pay the transfer fee. And I don't know if that's with Oscar. Are you and I on the same wavelength here, saying like that's what we're talking about? It's time to start by spending money, right? I mean, we wait for everything on a free. Right. Just once, right? I mean, and I'm looking at like the outgoing transfers. Like I look at like a guy like Nick Dewar. He didn't fit. I don't know what happened there. That was a miss. Isak Jensen never panned out. Jabulo Blum had a good first season and then just fizzled out, had issues. Nuke V's gone now. Kojima went. Pedro's gone. I mean, have there been more misses? I mean, some of the gaps we're still trying to fill, especially out at left back. I look at John Nelson, who's played really well for Galaxy, got an MLS Cup out of it. Where's the evaluation there? Because he's not making a ton of money, but that's somebody that was in our system who could have been there and helped and solved that problem. I've loved what we've seen from Horn, and don't get me wrong, Jay Reed is phenomenal, but is like, if we're not evaluating these guys right, how can I trust that what we're doing to evaluate anything is right? I mean, we saw what a 5-month search with however many thousands of records got us in Olaf. I mean, I'm just saying, it seems reasonable to have that question about how great our scouting network is, considering some of the things that we've missed on and some of the guys that we've let go.
You guys killed Nelson the whole time he was here. Well, that's except for the 5 games that started the great
So,
season.
and it was funny because I would accept, like, I think we always I fell into that of, like, oh, our left back is terrible, he doesn't know what he's doing. But then, like, when you have that left back, and then you have the next left back, and then you have the next left back, and then you have the next left back, and none of them work, you would say, wait a minute, it's not the player, there's something flaw in the system. Why everybody on the left back is struggling? And that's when I stopped myself and said, like, let's analyze a little bit more of what's happening. And it was just that our system was failing the left back because it was just the way we were playing, leaving a huge gap in the left back and forcing them to make huge runs and covering when everybody was pulling up front. Everybody fell because of it, because we didn't have the fastest left backs, because the system was not designed for that. So yeah, Nelson is a huge proof of, like, he could have done better if the system would have been a little more balanced. I would say Anthony Marcanic, he's gonna grow to be a good player, and he's already improving a lot in Minnesota because they're giving him confidence and they give him a system that he doesn't get exposed.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, because now in today's world of football, we kind of ask our defenders, center back, right back, and left back, a lot more than what we used to ask him before. So I'm wondering if almost our European-like system that we want to implement. I'm wondering maybe if some of the players that we want to have, or the player that we get, maybe are not prepared or ready for that type of football, right? Because you know how they're saying now the new goalkeepers, they want new goalkeepers that are confident on their feet. They know how to dribble. 10 years ago, that was not the case. So I'm wondering if that left back is that continuous change is because we're trying to fit that one system, and then we start finding us with more European-like players because they are used to that type of system, and then it's the ongoing cycle of our system is this. Who are the players that are used to it? Those guys.
And that's what I think we've got with the back, our center back pairing now with Baumgartel and Kessler. What can they both do? Distribute. They can play out of the back. That's what we need. I mean, they were playing long balls in Portland, and releasing the wingers to make those runs deep, whether it's Tots on the right or it was Reed on the left. So that's what already the influence we're seeing, Mo, to your point, when we talk about the evolution of the game, that's what we're seeing in City now. The thing is, we just don't have enough of the pieces around that to make it work, I don't think, yet. And I think Lutz was on the pregame coverage on Apple TV. And they asked him what to was Andrew Wiebe interviewed him pitch side, and the last thing he said is, what do you expect in the summer? And Lutz said probably 2 to 3 players. Didn't give away any positions, but the one thing he said twice was that they have to fit our system. They have to be a typical City player. And that to that, I ask you, Oscar, do you think the club is too hung up on fitting the player to City versus just going out and getting somebody and helping to integrate them in on the other side of it? Do you think it's too much of an issue?
Well, let me answer the question with a question. With our system, with our style, have we won anything? Have we been close to win anything?
Do you want to count the Western? Does the Western Conference in regular season count?
No.
It's not a trophy.
You know why? You know why?
Why?
Doesn't count? Because that season, that first place, we got it with the first 10 games. if it would be a full season, like a full season where we destroy the entire league, sure, I'll give you success there. 10 to 12 games that we were successful at the beginning of the season when we took so much advantage from being the new guys. I don't think it means anything. I don't think it was successful enough. Um so no. So to answer your questions, yes, we are way too hung up on our style. Our We don't really have a style per se. We have a type of idea or what we want to play, but we have not been able to execute that idea to the ways to being successful, to the ways to destroy teams, being consistent. Because at the end of the day, yes, we get injuries, but the style, the idea should prevail and keep the team playing good and getting points and getting wins. And I'm gonna put the example of Liverpool. Sorry guys, but Liverpool started the idea of they decided their change of their idea when Jurgen Klopp got into the club. And it took a little bit, but at the same time, they're starting to be consistent and finding the ways to win games, dominating those games, being quick, being high press, very good with the ball, right?
Mhm.
And what happened? Now Klopp left because X or Y reason. They got the new coach, and the new coach spiked that idea. He exploded it a lot more with little things that Jurgen Klopp was not seeing with the players the team already had. Because let's be honest, um, Jurgen Klopp was not getting the best of Luis Diaz, for example.
Mhm.
I think Luis Diaz had a good moments with Jurgen Klopp, but then he started going down on his level. And when Slot got in, he was like, "You gotta work for your spot." And he at the beginning of the season, Diaz was not playing much, and Diaz ended up being one of the biggest players for Liverpool. Obviously, everybody behind Mo Salah, but he was the second or the third that had the most contributions for the team, and he also has winning most of winning goals behind Salah too. So they kept that idea. They exploited different ways that your players already had that the previous coach didn't. But you still have that style. Do we have a style? I don't think we do. We just think that our idea is to go high press and force errors. But then after that, what we do? So why do we keep saying I need this player to fit this style when we don't even have one? Find good players. These player, I'm telling you, like these U22s, there's so many U22s in the league right now. And I'm sorry, they're all South Americans because I just went down the list for every single team in this MLS, and at least one out of the two or three spots that they have, they're South Americans. And guess what? They're the ones who scoring goals. They're the ones who giving assists. But they didn't go and say, "Hey, you have to match our style." No, I like the way you play. Let's bring that here and make you play the way you like and score goals.
I have a different way of seeing it, but yeah.
Well, what's
Over.
your way, Mo? Tell us. What's
Just
your way of
just
seeing it?
just like what these guys say right there, right? PSG is the prime example. If you watch the player Due, right? You know who he play his soccer about? Neymar. He dribbles, he passes. He's never stepped a foot in Brazil. But what he did is the PSG coach, right? He has a style of football that he likes to play. He found the players that fit his system. And his one of the system is I want young players that play street soccer with a flair. And guess what he did? He went and brought Musa Dembele, Osmar Dembele, Doué, all of these kids that fit his system, and he just enhanced it to play his style. The City part, what I'm seeing still is that there's a certain style they're following, and unfortunately, it's almost like their European like style that they want to follow. And unfortunately, the players that we've kind of put in have not shown what they were capable of or on the emergency room all the time. So I think if we can have a little bit of those players, that's why Celio is not playing as much, because they want to play a certain style of football. And yes, I would love to see a little bit more flair, because that's what brought me into soccer to begin with. But now the question is, are we able to bring those South American players that we're all talking about at this moment? Because it comes with a price tag as well, because now everybody know that's what's working in MLS at this moment, or you find those gems from your system.
So let's bring it back to City for a second. You're just talking about flair. You're talking about skill. Jean de Silva is a free agent at the end of the season. Has had a couple of rough games and there were moments in these last couple of games.
Right.
He is catching a lot of heat right now for not marking Ayala on the game-winning set piece.
You want to get me started?
No, I just have to ask. It
Yes.
is like is because he's up. We could re-sign him. We could make an offer. He'd probably want like TAM money. He's not a DP, but is that even something we consider based on his performances over the last few weeks?
The way I saw it yesterday, that not pass that he did not make, we also have to remember that he is not getting the rhythm that he needs to play with, right? He's playing with limited time.
Mm-hmm.
A soccer player, it is very important that you get into your rhythm, that you get to play the game. Practice is fun, but you have to have experience on the field to know where your teammates are, what are their tendencies, where they like to run, where they have, the last game for the video that everybody's playing, right? I can guarantee you that if Klaus and Betcher were the two, and then Betcher had the ball and Klaus was the one making the run, I can guarantee you 110% that Betcher would have looked up to see where Klaus was. How does that happen? Is the relationship that they have, and they learn each of their tendencies, right? If you watch the run, McSorley was making the run straight down the line, right? Did you see any hand movement, or did you see any calls? Did you see anything that will tell you that Xander was running with his head down? There was no way that he will able to tell that McSorley was making the run, unless, one, you guys practiced together for a long time. Two, you know your teammates' tendencies. And three, he's making the call to say, hey, I am open, pass me the ball. And four, he's a striker. And five, he had to make the run from midfield all the way to the box. Mm-hmm. You're tired. You're exhausted. Oscar, we talked about it with Klaus, right? If he makes the run from midfield all the way to the box, where's the ball going to end? In the bleachers. For this one, unfortunately, straight to the goalkeeper. Yes, he missed the pass, but when you're running that much and you don't know who's on your right, you don't know who's on your left, all you're thinking is you're by yourself, what do you think he's going to go? He's exhausted. He's not going to do a dribble one-on-one, and your teammate is not doing anything to tell you it. So instinct is not there. The scream, the call is not there. It was a poor shot altogether. But you cannot just go online and say, "Oh, that's a selfish move." No shit. You're a striker. I want my striker to be selfish. So that's why I kind of
Yeah, I
took
mean
away
he's
a little
trying
bit
to
of that
score
shot.
goals.
Yeah.
Uh, he
Yes.
he had the same issue. I think the San Jose game maybe that he had another shot that he tried to like force it. But I'm with you, Mo. It definitely is. One is the connections between players, and also I did mention it is like there was a lack of communication. I think Max Horley tried to be discreet so nobody will mark him, but at that point you're wide open. You have to be yelling at Sunday like here, 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 here. I'm wide open. Anything to get that ball from him. Not that it's his fault for not getting it, but at
Oh
the
no.
same time, like you have to help. You
Mhm.
have to help your teammate by communicating. Um, and in the and if you gonna blame him for the corner, um, I think they all fell asleep, including him, including Ostrak. But I think my biggest issue on that one was JGR because I think he was doing zone, and where the ball landed was his, and that was
Mhm.
his zone, and he was just like
Mm.
he didn't react. He was like blinded by the sun or looking at the sun. I don't even know what he's doing, but I look at the replay like multiple times and it's like he didn't move one step. And then you look at his face and it's like he realized, oh, that was me.
So the one thing I'll say about, I guess the question I have, and I think Aaron, I may have seen some of your stuff on STL Sports Central's post game chat about Jande, if I'm remembering right from last night. I think the question I have is, would you rather have a shot that could bounce, could skip, could get fumbled by the keeper, could create a second chance for McSorley, or would you rather have him on tired legs trying to make a pass that you don't know if he's going to make it, and then have the opportunity wasted completely, right? Like that's the, like, we can all say hindsight, oh yeah, make the pass, it's easy, right? For yeah, sitting on my couch eating my chips, hell yeah, it's an easy pass, all right, for me. But in that moment, with two defenders between him and McSorley, striker's mentality, as you said, Mo, is to go for goal. I would have liked to seen the attempted pass, but will it come off? And if it doesn't, then you're having a whole other reason to complain about Jande in that moment. So I don't know that he's going to win either decision he makes unless the pass comes off and McSorley puts it in the goal.
Yeah. So I think it's like I always tell people it's the combination of things, right? Everybody loves to talk about the final result of it, but we all know, right? That's why we practice. That's why we have the same people on the same game. You build those relationships. That's why we all love to see Klaus and Betcher together, because that's what you need to know, right? When you go to practice, that's when you know where we know Mark Shirley is like, a guy that will run all the time, right? If you play often with those guys, you will know that, hey, Mark Shirley loves to run on the right flank. So when I'm on the left and I'm running with it, I will have this in my mind that says, hey, if I make that run, I most likely McSorley will be on my right. And then that's where Alexander will kind of open his body. So for me, the way he missed that shot, it's, you see how he shot it straight on the goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
If he would have kind of opened his body more and tried to go in the far post, right? So either the ball would have gone in or it hit the post, and that's what Mark Sorley will have an easy tap in. Or you chip the goalie up top. But all of these things that we're talking about is if it's a player that's just received the ball and tried to score, not the one that did all that dash running all the way to the box. Because then after that, your mind is, my legs are tired. It's not your mind doing it. So I kind of like to look at all of those aspects versus, oh, there's my snippet because he could have passed the ball and he didn't. Like, yeah, but dude had to run.
Well, how many
So,
times were there other layoffs for Oscar? We were yelling for layoff passes in the first half from
Sir,
guys.
yeah.
So that was one thing that I was disagree with Mo between Klaus and Betcher playing together. It was because there was couple of plays in the first half that Klaus or someone else. Well, Klaus opened the space for Betcher, but then Klaus ran into space, and there was a couple of times where Klaus was wide open to get an easy pass, and Betcher decided to take a shot.
That was awful, bet you that.
I mean, it just like they're best friends, but they're not feeding each other, or at least
Yeah.
Klaus is feeding him to get space and opportunities, but then Betcher is not giving it back to him. So it's kind of like, yes, you want to have that connection, but at the same time, it's like they're selfish. Their forwards are selfish, and it's gonna happen that they're gonna have those shots that they're gonna force them, and unless you have that high quality chance or high quality talent to put it back in the net, we're gonna keep hitting the keeper's legs, arms, or sending it just straight out. I
But you
just
have
look at the
but
replay.
stop
I just really
making
look
your
at the. Uh,
yeah.
we got to stop what?
You have to stop making your striker having to run so much from midfield
Oh yeah,
all the way to the box because you can you can say all you want that it's a poor shot. When you have to make that run, you're most likely going to mess up unless you're Mbappe or Lamar,
or
that will
Salah,
run.
or
Yes. So there's like a handful of players that I know could dribble from the midfield and then make a quality pass, right? And those guys aren't it. So
yeah, no, no.
it give him
I
in
just
the box. Yeah.
rewatched that. I just rewatched that play. I have the TV right on, and
Look
I
at me.
rewatched that play, and McSorley did not whatsoever make an effort to tell him I'm here. And you look at Silva, he never
Yep.
lifts his head because he has four guys around him. He knows he has two guys behind him running at him, and two in front that they're trying to stop him. So what he's forced to do as a dribble in speed is to keep his head down to the ball, make sure you don't miss the dribble. So he never looks up, he never looks to the side. He was expecting someone to yell at him if he had to, but then he even at the end of the play, he apologized to someone behind him, but
Oh,
not McSorley. So someone else on behind was maybe said something not on time, but McSorley didn't say anything. McSorley only did like, and I get it. He's young. He's he's
yeah,
a
probably
player
wants
that
it.
he was just invited
Yeah.
into the game, basically. But oh my god, I've seen him play on City 2, and I've seen him how he demands the ball in City 2. Like why he didn't do it.
You think it was the
Unfortunately,
occasion and maybe
it
first
was. I
team
mean,
time?
or he was tired. He was sprinting so hard that he couldn't even get a word out. Because again, we're getting into counterattack that we have to run 60 yards to get close to the goal.
That's why I plead people is like, please look at one or two sequence and
Yeah.
then take into account some of those things, right? And Aaron's giving now trouble because a kid being tired. Yeah, I know Aaron, us old folks, right? Back in those days, I know we were doing a
Hey,
lot of that running and stuff, but
in the picture, McSorley didn't look 12. Did you see the picture that they posted for the of
no.
loan? He had a mustache.
Oh yeah.
So, all right.
He was
So, all
he
right.
was like a 12-year-old mustache, but
So, all right. So going in with what the chat is talking about with Aaron and Megan, the question I have for you, gentlemen, is: do we think he could have done something, to Megan's point, to be more aggressive, to get into a better shooting opportunity? Did he rush the decision to pull the trigger on the shot?
He was that was tired legs. That's a shot from the tired legs.
Okay.
That's what
I
it
would
looked like.
say no because the defenders actually stop and start putting pressure in front of him before the box. Mistake that Kessler made in Anthony's goal. They were going back, but then when they were close to the box, they stopped and actually stepped on him. And that forced him to take the shot. Kessler didn't do that. Kessler waited 10 yards too long to go into the box and give him that option. I think that was the difference of defending, and that's why Anthony quality shot had more opportunity to score than Silva's. That it was still in frame, but it was not as dangerous because it was still outside the box.
I think we might be judging Xander a little too quick with a small sample size of what we have. Because let's not forget, I think I heard in the broadcast, right, that last year Anthony was not their number one player, right? They gave him the chance to kind of progress, and I think they said Neville was telling him that he had to step up his game and show what he really had. So we're talking Anthony had a whole season last year and a season now to kind of progress, and now we're talking a player that got a few games in and that crazy trip to New York, which we don't know what that was all about. So there's a lot of things that I think we sometimes try to have to look at, but it's too much of a small sizes to say he's selfish or he should have done a better shot. Like Klaus, how long did it take for Klaus to score last year?
Yeah, a lot.
Right. So he's a striker too, right? Maybe it's me, but
no. I think for me, when it comes to Jande, understanding the kind of player he is, kind of similar to a Celio, where he's a winger, dynamic, wants to play with the ball at his feet, wants to take players on, wants to play with flair, confidence, and style, right? But what you have to be willing to accept with a player like that is that they're going to make mistakes. It's not always going to come off. The move isn't always going to work. The shot's not always going to be the right choice. And if you're not willing to accept that, then the players like that won't work in your system. I mean, let's just be real. If we're in the world of hypotheticals, if Anthony's flick over Tots doesn't work and say he rainbows it and it goes out of bounds, we're not talking about a worldy goal. We're not talking about a goal of the year candidate. We're not talking about Anthony for 30 minutes tonight.
And then his coach will probably bench him, will give him an earful after the game.
But that's part of, you have to be willing to accept that the right decision is not always going to be made if you're going to have players like an Anthony, or in our case, a Silva, or even a Celio in the lineup. You just have to accept that's going to happen.
And those stats will look awful. It will look like a Christmas tree.
But that's what we want, right? How much have we been clamoring for guys like Silva, like Pompeo for weeks, for months, right? Like, if you're not willing to accept it, you don't want those players in your team. You have to take. It's kind of a give and take. You have to do it.
Yes, I think that's how you will, once you get creative players or the one that have a little bit of a chip on their shoulders, you will get some of those. You will get some of those things, right? Hate them or love it, it happens. Some of them works out well, some don't, and some become injured, like Neymar, because they have that flair that everybody hates, and then they will injure them. So I think that's the contrast that you might have to get used to, because
yeah. So I have a couple things on Sonnet. First, I'm gonna answer that comment right there from Ryan. Okay, so it wasn't a high XG, right? Do you think the goal from Celio against Sporting KC had a high XG?
I hope not.
I don't think it did. I would say probably similar of that one. But the thing is, like, if you don't try, like Kayla is saying, if you don't try to make that brilliant goal, then you're never going to score it. So you have to take those shots when you think you have the chance. It was not the best decision. Yes, it was not the best decision. because he had someone running at him open. But we have seen in many games through MLS, Premier League, that sometimes forwards don't take the best decision and they decide to take that shot. And sometimes they're terrible and sometimes they're not. Even Mo Salah is the most selfish player. Sometimes has people wide open, and he decides to take those shots horribly, and you're just like, what are you doing? But then one of those goes in the top corner.
Guys, remember, I understand the whole HG thing, but let's not forget that
Watch the game.
a lot of my coaches have told me, right, that 90% of your shots it's luck, and 10% of those is determined on what the goalkeeper does. And that's what I was told, because your shot, you do not. It's a low percentage of guys that can say, I am going to go and put it in the upper 90, and it goes exactly on the upper 90. You're told to shoot the
Jeremy
ball.
just put it right there.
Yeah. So those are the things that I try to, even when I coach the kids and everything, right? Is that you will follow those so much that you would think that you're supposed to have an X amount of goals during a game. But there's a lot of variable that will change that very quickly, right? If a player has the confidence that says, I am going to take that shot, and even though he has a lower SG, do you think he'd think about that during the game? He's like, no, that upper 90 is open. I'm going to try to shoot it there. If the goalkeeper is a Berkey, he might save it, or else he will just go. So that's why I understand we like those HG stats, but sometimes, and the creative players that you guys want so much on the field, I can guarantee you that's not what they look at. Once they step that white line, what the defender tells you will determine where your shot goes and what you do with it next.
I mean, they see a gap, they see an opportunity, they try to take it.
Yes.
And that's what you see on the game. Like, they're not thinking like, oh, this shot might have a 0.5 xG. Maybe I'm not gonna take it. Maybe I'm gonna just pass it. I'm just gonna wait for an opportunity when my xG is gonna be 1 point whatever. Like, no, obviously not. Like, they're seeing a space, they're gonna take it. Okay. And my other thing with Sunday is that it's not his fault that he doesn't play as much, that he doesn't have the minutes that he needs, and I think he deserves the way that.
Except last game, the whole New York thing, that was well deserved of him being benched.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know about that, and I don't read that much into the things. But, anyways, how did we bring Sunday into our squad as a last minute sign, right? And we brought him in. Technically, we needed a right wing. We brought him and we started using him as a center mid. So I think unless Critchley changed this mentality, I think they just using him as a fill the spot player. They're not really giving him the trust and the belief that he can actually help the team and make the team better. I think they're just using him to use him. And that's not fair to him. I said it before the lineups came out, and when we started the game, I said I think Silva would have been a better choice than Betcher on that spot, and I still believe it. Not that Betcher performed bad, but I still believe that Sunday with a full at least 60 to 70 minutes in that position would have done a lot better.
So, all right. And I was thinking
Yeah.
about Betcher in this game. I mean, what did Betcher do in this game? Betcher had 3 shots in the game, generated 0.4 expected goals, 2 scoring chances, or 2 scoring chance actions for Betcher in the game. Silva had created 1 in those 1 scoring chance opportunity on just 5 touches. Betcher only had 19 touches in the game, so it wasn't like he was heavily involved um, in this contest. I mean, McSorley had 11 in his cameo, a third of the time, basically, that Betcher played. So you could argue McSorley was more effective than Simon Betcher was in some cases.
Yeah, that's yeah, I think that's the part where the system that I think they're still playing, like and I'm seeing you even like STL viewing says that Silva should have played the ball wide open to McSorley. I think the system, and I think so many rotations that we're getting on the players, I think we still don't have the proper link for the players to play to their full potentials. Because do you recall during the game here a part of the game where there was like a game of rondo during the game with the offensive players? Like 1-2, 1-2 together, or a 1-2 or 3-4, 5-6 sequence, but like quick sequence, right? I'm not talking about the center back just passing the ball to each other and then go to the flank. Do you see any of that happen in the midfield? No.
No,
You
no,
do see any with the midfield and the forwards?
we're
No.
too direct to
No.
goal. It was
Yeah.
a game of play it forward, hope you win the header, or you bring it down and you have to win the second ball and go direct. That's what
Yeah.
we did.
And that's where some of those silver player type of players, right? If you watch some of the Atlanta games that they were doing, right? For those that have a little bit of the flair playing, the sequence of soft passes or calculated passes for so long that then after that you let the defense kind of stay on their block and see every movement that you're making. How are you supposed to unlock a defense if that's not there? So maybe instead of giving Xander long ball passes, maybe let's try to do a few sequences so that we can take those defenders and kind of make them uncomfortable. So I think it's one of those discussions
it
we're
goes to
missing out.
the main problem of the style. I think it goes to that. Then Kayla was saying like, "Hey, I wish we would get a little more of the possession type of style, or like at least enjoy a little bit more of the possession, because we always try to play fast and long and quick. We never tried to get those combination passes. We never get to that, like you're saying, that little rondo between 3 players to get the midfield crazy that just goes around in circles. It just everything has to be so quick forward, and we just keep saying on that. Well, our style of play is that, like being fast and be high pressed and be quick in a counter attack, and it's just. But is it really working? Is it? Are we that precise to get those 2-3 touches, long ball, and finish? No, we're not. So I recall our better playing in City was in those first games with Carnell, where Stroud, Lewin, Allstrack, they will get those really quick 1-2s, really quick rondos between it, and then switch the ball, switch the gear to the other side. But we don't even do that. We don't even do a 1-2. I told Jeremy during the game that there was many opportunities when you can do the 1-2s in the box, and we didn't do it. Betcher could have play a 1-2 to Klaus. Hotel could have done a 1-2 with Klaus. Klaus could have done a 1-2 with Hotel, and nothing was done. And if you recall our lovely disappointment on the Kansas City game in St. Louis, what was Berkey's comment of one of the hardest plays to defend? 1-2s, especially that close to the box. So why in the world we keep thinking like we just have to do the individual and not the connection? Are we not working on those in the practices? Like, I don't understand it.
But that's how teams are able to unlock other defense so much easier. We all that's why where, if unfortunately we see it Inter Miami, right? Miami, they know that Messi, even though he scores a lot of goal, but if you look how he does with the people he plays with in the midfield, it's a touch and go, right? He might take the ball and then pass it back to them. He looks around, gets the ball back, pass it again, pass it again, pass it again. What he does is
And then
forces,
he's gone.
yes. So it kind of forces the defense to be caught flat-footed, and then he's gone. For us, even though we don't have Leuven now and Abstract and all that, that's in Alms as well, right? We're missing those feet where those Alms, they're always running, right? That's why Alms were always laughing that when he's on the field, he runs nonstop because he wants the ball at his feet. He wants to release it, get the ball back to him, release it back. But we're kind of missing that in the midfield. So every defense is knowing what we're about to do. I think that's, for me, I will keep saying midfield is what's missing. We need a creative one, and then we need a CDM that will clean up the mess if something happens. And I think that's how we excel the first 10 games of the season. That's how I see it.
I mean, if a lot of things comes to the next transfer window and what we are going to actually get in to supply that better playing, because
the bench
we're gonna
need to
keep
be
on
fixed too.
I mean,
Don't
are we
worry.
gonna keep on the hey, we're gonna be on? It needs to be a player that fits our style. Then we're not gonna change anything because we actually need someone who plays with the ball and makes those connections instead of going to our style and send the ball long and run.
Oscar,
And plus
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mo.
No, the last thing is I think there's also the drop in quality when our starting 11 and then the bench. If you watch Portland, it was almost a 1-for-1 player. Compared to us, is that we had to kind of use players that maybe have a few level difference. And I think that's what every good teams as well that want a deep run needs, maybe one or two of those layers on the bench, even though they might not be happy about it. But at least once they come in, it's not a huge drop of quality. And I think I saw Aaron mention maybe we should have Clouds comes towards the end of the game. Maybe try it out since he's a fireball from there. Let's see if we can salvage those last 35 minutes to have a Klaus like that will be doing the run in defense, but also in offense, to see maybe how that works, because defensively it drops when Klaus is out.
We're quickly getting to the point of the season with the results that we have nothing to lose other than trying different things. So we'll see. But I do have a question for you.
I mean, I'm sorry, but the season's over. We're not gonna go to playoffs, so we might as well start trying different things.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to be that bleak. I did the math earlier. We have to get like 1.7 points a game. That kind of a clip. Like we can only lose like 3 more games the rest of the way. And anyway, but the question I have for both of you guys, it's been all over social media leading up to Sunday Night Soccer. It was they talked about it on MLS on Apple TV last night.
Are you taking my hot take?
Oh no, I'll let you have it. We'll see. Oscar, hot take away.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay. It came to everybody's attention that apparently our sporting director is now going to be in the broadcast for the FIFA Club World Cup for the entire month, or that's what I've seen that it was said. So you're having a guy that needs to prepare to know what he's talking about in the games that he's gonna be on television, where his main job depends on the next 2 months, where he has to bring players to get this team better. Are we serious right now? You don't have a full-time job that depends on like improving your squad and getting things done, that you have so much time available to go on cast and commentate the FIFA Club World Cup. That is insane.
Does the fact that he normally does color commentary, let me ask two questions. One, does the fact that he does commentary for the Bundesliga normally for ESPN changes at all? Does it matter? And if the broadcasts are, say, let's say he's doing them remotely from St. Louis, so it doesn't impact his job, does it matter?
So first question, he shouldn't be doing it anyways. It's not his job. His job is to be the sporting director, not taking trips to Germany and do whatever he's freaking doing over there to commentate. That's not his job. If you want that job, quit the sporting director position and go do over there. Do your casting, do your commentator. That's not his job. I don't know why he still does it. I've never seen a sporting director that goes and casts and commentates any games anywhere. Or maybe David Beckham. But I don't think he's even the sporting director. He's the owner of the club. So I don't think he even qualifies for that. And then I think I just answered both of them. But the second one is like, even if you do it remotely, you still have to prepare for those games. You have to spend time to know who you're going to talk about, what you're going to talk about. Because let's be real, do you think Lutz knows who plays in Al Hilal? Or who are all the players in Boca Juniors? Or the ones in Flamengo? He probably knows the ones that are in Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund.
That's why they have like experts from all over the country. Oh, well.
Yeah.
but see my point? Like, you still have to spend time, because if it's either Bayern Munich again, the New Zealand team that is in their group, you still have to figure out that you're not just gonna go talk about Bayern Munich. You gotta talk about the other ones and see if they have any type of talent or any, at least the formation, how they play, how you have to do your research. That takes time. I have heard like the good commentators and announcers, they wake up like at 5 a.m. when they have to work on a game 7 p.m. because they have to put so many notes together and how the players, where they come from, all those things, like all those details. And do you have all that time? Like, if you do, I expect that this transfer window, we're going to have the next Messi, the next Ronaldo, and the next Neymar coming to our freaking team.
Mo, what do you think?
Oscar was pretty. So I think so. There's one of those things that I'm wondering if maybe his job has more than what we know of, because I think he's probably the most visible person in like the leadership team when it comes to who St. Louis City SC is in general, outside of MLS. He came into this job when he was already doing all of that. So I think we're like on uncharted territory on that. Because I do not know any other sporting directors that also do that. But also his job is different than what the rest of the world are doing as well, right? So not everybody gets to create your own club. So I think so it is sending maybe in some part the wrong message. I don't know if the Apple TV folks were maybe sour that they maybe tried to get that job and it didn't work. I think it was kind of weird for me to hear it on television from other pundits. I don't know about you guys, but it was a little weird at the same time.
I think if they're taking the time to mention it, it's because it's weird.
But
And it's
Lutz
because
is
well,
weird.
because something that it should not happen.
Lutz it's his own character, right? I mean, we've all found that out. Through messages and text, direct DMs, and right. So
that's true.
So I'm trying to kind of
again. So are we okay?
It's his character, right? So
like, is it okay? Like, yes, sure, he's his character. He can be earn all he wants, but basically, he's just stealing money from City.
Yeah.
He's just doing whatever he.
But if we flip it around,
and City is going, okay, go for it.
But if we flip it around, if we were in a winning season at this moment, and then he's announced that he's doing that, would people be that upset at the exact same thing?
No, because if we were in a winning season, we wouldn't have fired Olaf, or the coaching hire would have worked. We'd be, let's say, top 8 in the table, right? So we'd be happy. We'd be playing probably better soccer, and nobody would care because the transfer window is important, but he'd have Hackworth behind the scenes in his stead to kind of run it. And you almost wonder, so if we go back, let's rewind time a little bit. Remember, he said Hackworth couldn't coach City, the first team, because he was too important for the transfer window and too important to what he needed him here for, and City 2 takes less time. So if this has been in the works for a while, is Lutz working so closely with Hackworth that Lutz has the freedom to go do, let's say, 1 or 2 games a week, while Hack is helping negotiate and work the phones or whatever that process is going to be like during the transfer window? Is that the way this club is being run?
And let's not forget, those negotiations to do those pundits did not just come up yesterday, right? So those are year in advance. His role, I think, is one of those weird ones, like I said, right? That he's also the face of St. Louis City SC.
Yeah.
We only see the other side of, the Caroline and Diego. We only see them, the MLS produced things, or when someone is getting fired or hired, but don't really see like the ins and out of things. So for me, it's a weird one. That thing, that's my word. And how much Hack involvement is, what planning is behind that happen, only God knows on that part, how that was planned. For me, the only risk for, I guess, his job in the image is that if we keep on going down like this, and then you're on television talking about another club, that might be the issue there, is that your house is on fire, but you're on someone else's lawn, barbecuing on the nice cut grass.
I don't know. I have heard so many comments about him having like side deals. I mean, obviously, I'm not confirming or anything. I'm just hear the rumors of like why he brings those type of players is because he had some side deals, or if his friends are getting beneficiated by this deal or whatever. So he's definitely
a lot
just
of rules, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but if you get caught, right? So, I disagree. Even that if we were in first place with having a great season, he should still not do any like that. Like you have a full-time job, but
Yeah, we have
your
sporting
job is
directors
to,
on podcasts.
huh?
We have the LA Galaxy sporting director was on the podcast not long ago.
But is that demanding that you have to like fully prepare
They have
and
staff for
stay
that.
on touch for like I mean a podcast you go and talk what you know.
They
So
have staff for the preparations. Those commentators have staff that do all that.
No, I don't know. I don't agree.
Yeah,
I just
I
think
know,
like he
guys.
should not be around. I mean,
But yes, I
so
think this is the weird one. I think it's definitely raises a lot of questions and valid
Yeah.
questions. But at the same time, I guess it's kind of hard to know how their plans
Yeah.
are. What was maybe Caroline can tell us.
So
She gave the green light.
so I think Aaron brings up a great point in the chat. I just looked them up myself. So the dates, I have to wonder how much of the work is done or at least pre-planned. Here's why. So to Aaron's point, Club World Cup starts. The Club World Cup starts this coming week, I believe, and it ends July 13th. So the transfer window opens July 24th. So the Club World Cup ends 11 days before the transfer window opens. So maybe it's not as a big deal. It does still look bad because
Yeah.
your team is third worst in the MLS. Only the Galaxy and Montreal are fourth worst. So Toronto, Montreal, and Galaxy are the only three teams that are worse than City points wise right now. So I think the optics look bad, but maybe the timing is okay because it ends 11 days before the window opens. It's still a weird one, to your point, Mo, but maybe it's not as big of a deal based on the dates.
And
you don't
remember,
have
a
a
lot
head
of the
coach.
players. Remember also, I think what I heard last year, a lot of the players that the team had planned to bring into City, a lot of those guys they've had discussion long before they were already in his list of players that he wanted to bring in. It was just not the right time to bring them in yet.
Mhm.
Because if you hear a lot of those interviews, a lot of them had discussions even before last year, right? So they were already part of his list of, I think he said Kessler, I think, or was it? I think Kessler was when he got, I think during the draft, right? He said that
I
they
think he
had,
says that about every time.
but maybe that gives us a little paint of maybe that's what the because he said Kessler. I think that was Kessler where
Yeah, it
before
was
he got
Kessler. Like there was a big example. Like, I mean, it has been like that because they did with Timo too. They
yeah.
did with Torchford. I believe Hartel was the same situation. Like they were just waiting and waiting. But at the same time, that's surface a question for me, and is if I see a player today and I say I like that player, we're gonna start discussions, right? But I'm only gonna be able to bring him in December or for the next season in February. Is that a smart move?
There's plenty of teams that do that.
No, it's. But I don't know if you've seen why I'm asking that question.
Oh yes, I understand that part.
Because if I'm doing this process right now, and in 6 months this player, what was the point of me doing all this job right now if in February he either got an injury, he had something, he didn't play for 3 months because the coach didn't want him? Are you still blaming him just because you had discussions for a long time ago? I don't think it's a good set of business. You want to have your business as recent as possible because you want to have the player that you like in the recent form, not the one 6 months ago.
Or maybe there's pre-signed agreements or
I mean, Mo,
personal terms already.
you and me know how this works. You can make a deal in 3 minutes if you want to.
Mhm.
You don't have to have a pre-agreement 6 months ahead to bring a player you want.
Well, if
You like the
FIFA,
player, you go
FIFA
for it,
but
and
if
if you
FIFA
want
have
it,
those rules though that sometimes the personal terms are agreed upon with the player, and then you're still negotiating with the team,
Mhm.
and then that's where the trigger starts. So maybe I don't know how their contract are, but a lot of those signed contracts is term with the player, and then the team have to negotiate the price. So I don't know how those were signed with the current players, but it's part of the gambles, right? When you agree on
But it's
something.
not. It's not 3, 4, 5 months.
Mbappe
So-
was signed a year before. He
I mean,
agreed to join.
Mbappe started 3 years ago when he said he wanted to go to Real Madrid, and
Mhm.
But he agreed on terms.
So yeah. So for me, guys, I think it optically looks bad. It's getting a lot of attention because of the state of the club, because we're the 4th worst in points. We fired a coach after 15 games. It's going to be our 3rd permanent head coach once we hire somebody. It makes the club look bad and almost like we're disorganized. So optically it looks bad. I want to trust, though, that behind the scenes they're organized enough to take care of the business. To Aaron's point, that him calling a random game in Nashville or in Boston or from Philadelphia, because he's not having to travel internationally. Remember, the tournament is in America, so it's not like he's got international travel. He might have a 2 or 3 hour flight, but it's nothing that really should prevent him from being able to maintain his business here for that leading into the window. So I don't like the optics of it, but I also don't know that I want to sit here and say, oh, Lutz doesn't have his priorities in line, because I want to trust that as a footballing operation between Hackworth and Lutz and Diego, even though they've kind of done a lot to lose my trust, I want to have some kind of faith in them that they've got this together so that he can go do this without it impacting the sporting division of our club.
I kind of like
was
to
gonna-
still have. I kind of like having our team's name still being mentioned during the Club
Mhm.
World Cup when everything is on pause. I don't know. Maybe the marketing
Did you-
side of things. a
I
little bit.
mean, the marketing of never come over here because you're the 4th worst team in the MLS.
They know that they know in MLS anything is possible, and if the
Right.
check is right,
Right.
and the World
Right.
Cup is coming.
And Ronaldo is coming. Not really.
No, he said no.
I mean,
Do you
But-
blame him?
I like what
I
Charlotte
agree.
FC is doing though.
I really, really disagree with all this, just because your main focus is not on the club. Even if it's a random day that you're spending doing this, because it's not like he did it with Bundesliga, that he was like maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months that he was actually doing. I don't know, because I never look at his cast, so I don't have any idea when he was there or not. But this one is a little bit more commitment, because it's a month of playing where games are played every day, and you're probably doing more than 2 or 3 per week, I would say.
I don't know if he's going to do that much.
I don't know. Like, I mean, obviously that's a question mark that we will only know when he actually does the games. Maybe he only does 2 games in the entire tournament, and then we're here bashing him that he's gonna be the entire time.
Is Brad Guzman retired?
Who?
Brad Guzman.
Isn't it the goalkeeper of
He's Atlanta.
You know he's a presenter, right?
Guzan?
Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
presenter.
I don't think he retired. I think he's still their starting keeper.
Yeah, he's presenting. He's
Really?
one of the commentators.
No, Guzan. No.
Yes, I promise you, I saw his face.
You're wrong, Mo. I don't know why, but you're wrong.
Yeah, there's not that many bald-headed dudes that looks like
Oh my god!
You cannot mess up that face. Please tell me I'm right.
I'm looking it up. I'm
Anybody
trying
on the chat? Come on.
Come on, guys.
I'm looking so far. I haven't found it. Kai Kamara is.
Yes, he right above him. I'm pretty sure I saw that picture.
So
I mean,
we
Kai
have
Kamara is stealing money from the MLS, still playing, because he's
he's
Mo-
with
Mo-
Cincinnati, right?
yeah. So Mo Adams, Melissa Ortiz, Connor Cody's, Kai Kamara, Luch Fanenstiel, Pellegrino Matarazzo, and U.S. coach BJ Callahan. Isn't BJ Callahan the coach for Nashville?
He is Nashville.
That's
What?
another
No.
awful look.
How is
So
he?
it looks like things are changing, huh?
All right, so hold on. So wait, so Nashville's gaffer can go do this, but we want to be mad at our sporting director? I'm even more confused, guys. I don't even know.
Please tell me
Hey,
Brad
but I
is on
mean,
there.
but
I don't see Brad.
Hey.
again.
hey, apparently you guys said like if they were doing a good job, then they can do it. Well, BJ Callahan has Nashville playing in the top position, so
Hey, Brad Guzan will be on the Club World Cup broadcast team.
Okay.
it was June 22nd.
I knew that you cannot miss that guy's face.
He
Oh, you're
said
right.
broadcasting debuted.
No, he will. So
June
he will be with color.
22nd.
Yeah.
So yeah,
He's right
Brian
under
Dunson.
Lutz.
Yeah, Steve McManaman, Brad Guzan joining Luke Willman, Tony Husband, Andres Cantor, and Kevin Egan. So you are right. So we have coaches, players, and a sporting director from MLS clubs joining
On
broadcast for the Club's World Cup.
TNT Sports.
Okay, maybe
Is
we
it for the next World Cup?
No,
it's for the
FIFA Club
2025
World.
Club World Cup. Yeah,
It's for
no.
this one. Gusan's
Yes.
gonna do it too.
Yes,
That's
he's
what I
on a
think
tie, everything, suit, everything. Lutz has
Man.
the city crest on it.
That's what it.
See,
This is like overall in the world that it makes me mad because how many people, not even just like us, because some of us like we would love to have like a casting position or like a commentator announcement position. I'm not saying it's specific us, but like
Yeah.
some of some people, and they have their careers like going to college and going in communications and things like that they dream to get jobs like this, and then all these people that they're already making millions with their careers of playing, now that the only thing that they have to do is retire and then they just go and get those positions. That makes me mad.
name. See, I told
just
you,
need the full
Oscar.
list.
It's a weird one. This 1 billion product. Everybody's dancing.
Well, so you figure at some point the league has to play nice with FIFA, and it's in the U.S. So of course the domestic leagues are going to give them what they want. But yeah, maybe
So
not as big of a.
you got coach, player, sporting director, coach, like
Yeah.
and goalkeeper.
Yeah, they're at all three levels of the
Yes.
MLS now.
How is Gusan doing this while did Atlanta doesn't have a game or anything? Like,
And Atlanta is terrible.
how?
So
See, Oscar
all
is
right,
confused now.
now I have to look at their fixture. So hold
I mean,
on.
not even
So,
trying to.
so the Club World Cup. When was there's a comment in the chat, Mo. The Club World Cup was no, the Club World Cup is like ends by July 13th. So let's look.
Yes, is that July 24th?
So right now, no. So I mean, Atlanta still plays. They've got it looks like at least 1, 2, 3, 4 games during the Club World Cup from the 25th, 28th, July the 5th, and July the 12th. So that's 4 games. They've got Columbus, Inter Miami, DC United, and Toronto.
Sorry, Oscar. I'm
If I have
telling
that
you,
right.
they all pointed at Lutz because it was an MLS broadcasting that brought it up. But as you can tell, they forgot to mention that the coach of Nashville or the number 1 goalkeeper of Atlanta or a newly signed forward for Cincinnati are in the broadcast. You see how funny that story just flipped?
I still didn't agree, anyways.
No, oh no, but you see how it is, right? The hard,
And I'm also saying like none of those should be in there.
yeah, none of them. But as you can see, right there's a game that's a different game that's being played in U.S. soccer or the world of MLS that you were like, oh no, and you see the news. It's only Lutz that was being pointed as someone that's doing extra work other than his day-to-day work, right? Come to find out, you have someone that probably have even more work to do, which is a coach.
Yeah, more work on match day and the keeper. How does their starting
I'm
keeper?
still like baffled by like the goalkeeper. Like you are in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, unless he's hurt and I just don't know anything. But
Even if he was hurt, go to rehab.
Yeah, I mean, because it's not like the world, the league is not on a break. They don't. It's not like they did a month-long break for
Oscar
this.
is confused now. He's looking at his phone to make sure that this is not.
No, it's
I'm
Twilight.
looking at the news. They're announced everywhere, but it doesn't say like, "Hey, how you gonna continue playing?"
No, yeah, I'm looking at Guzan is listed as their number one. They're starting goalkeeper. So
Was Nashville playing this weekend?
who?
Nashville?
No,
Maybe that's why that didn't come up.
no. The games this weekend. I don't think Atlanta played either. Let's see the games at the week. No, Atlanta didn't play. Atlanta's next game they played the 25th, so they were off. They are off. No, I'm sorry. They played the 12th.
They played
They
June
did not.
12th.
Yeah, so no, they didn't play this weekend. They play Wednesday night. I
So
guess
that's why they
is.
didn't catch any strays from.
Not yet.
So we'll be watching closely on Wednesday and see
I'm
if
still
they're going to
confused.
call him out.
We're all confused.
Oscar, a sporting director has a lot of people under him doing a lot of the work. Now you got a coach that's supposed to be on the
but
sideline.
our sporting director has a lot of people doing the wrong things. I guess if he's
boy.
not the only one.
So-
calling it.
So real quick, guys, we do play. We could try to close it on a bit of maybe good news. I don't know. We do play the LA Galaxy on Saturday, and they have yet to win a game on the road.
But they just won the last game, though.
They did just win, but it was not on the road. It was at home. They got their first win, so thank God they can't do that against us. There's no losing streak, no losing streak or winless streak on the line. We're not going to repeat Kansas City. But they are 0-2-7 on the road, so they've taken 0 of the 27 available points. They have scored 7 on the road, but allowed 21. They've got the worst goal differential in the league, and they've never beaten City, home or away. So
True that.
let's keep that going. Is that we can get right at home again on Energizer Park on the Saturday afternoon? I think it's a 3:30 game.
These games are awful.
Yeah, it's a 3:30 day game.
Is it again?
Yep, 3:30 kickoff.
Stupid.
Why is
On
always
Saturday.
LA Galaxy in the middle of the day?
And
It's always
LAFC 1 p.m.
On a Wednesday?
and
LAFC on a Wednesday because it was always being on a Wednesday.
Yeah. And you see all the West Coast team. And I agree with Aaron. It might be one of those trap games because Payne still is filling it. And he's like the Anthony type like player. But now we got a window.
And to their credit, like LA doesn't have the record, but they've played a lot they've played some decent football. They have not looked terrible because I've watched probably 2 or 3 of their last 4 games. And there was one 2 weeks back that I thought they were going to win, and they kind of got bit by the I can't finish bug, and so they didn't. To your point, the guys that are on their squad right now that are leading, just to give a real quick preview, Marco Royce actually leads the way with 6 goal contributions, so he's doing something for them. Christian Ramirez has 5. Diego Fagundes with 3. Painstill's got 2. So they've got some talent in that attack. I really have been. He doesn't have the goal scoring record in his 10 games. He's yet to get a goal, but Mateus Nascimento, the Brazilian U22 striker that they brought in, he looks really dangerous. If he could learn to finish, he could have had at least 2 or 3 on the season. So that's a name. He's got some pace. We'll have to watch for him stretching the lines as he probably, I would expect if he's healthy for him to play in the middle of that attack, leading the line, probably in front of Marco Royce and between Paintsill and Fagundes or Ramirez on the left.
I mean, their biggest issue, in my opinion, is the defense.
Oh, we got him.
No, like their defense. Like LA Galaxy, I think their biggest issue is their defense. They're
Yep.
making like silly mistakes. They're not tracking defenders. They live in too many gaps, and that's why they're getting beat. If you look, like they have received 36 goals
Yep.
this year. It's not that much of the non-scoring type because if you look, they have one goal scored more than us. They
Yeah.
have 15, we have 14. So the issue for them is the lack of defensive work
Yeah.
and being solid. But if they fix that and they find a way, like they're a dangerous team.
No, I mean, to be clear, on there, in terms of goal differential, they have the second worst goal differential in franchise history so far this season. They have a negative 21 goal differential. The only worst season they've had was when they were 22 negative in 2017. So, and to Aaron's point, they have done better recently over their last 5, only allowing 4 goals in their last 5. So, I mean, it's going to be an interesting game. Squad health will be a big one. We haven't received any updates on Leuven, who was having an MRI last week, so we'll have to see if he's back. Maybe we can get Durkin back. Your back line probably is unchanged, I would suspect. So really, I think the biggest questions for City, what's your midfield going to look like? And are you going to roll Klaus out again, or do you go something different in the attack?
Yeah, I would say that the biggest win on Portland was that nobody got hurt.
That's true.
As we know. Because it's gonna be tomorrow or Wednesday, and it's like, oh yeah, he had a knock on the little knock on the knock, and then you can play this week. So
Well, they have to get through a full week of training. That's
and probably Scotland.
Oh boy.
So we'll see. But I mean, I'm optimistic.
Kessler and Reed were the ones that coming back from.
Yeah. I mean, I'm optimistic. I think we're going to get a win, guys. I think it'll. I really think we have a shot to get a win in this game. I'll go 2-1 City.
Still don't know about that game. We should win the way that we have developed a little bit better. The mentality that we have shown, adding that we normally dominate LA Galaxy. Let's go. What you say, Mo?
3-1.
All right, I'll go 3-0.
Oh wow, okay. So I'm the guy. I'm the one that's nervous with a 2-1 win. You guys are a little bit more optimistic. I'll take it. Hey, I hope one of you is right because that means more fun in the North End and more fun at Energizer Park on Saturday afternoon, which would be a great way to kick off the weekend.
But if that happens, maybe I don't go back to the North End anymore. I'll just stay home.
Oh no, wait, they can't score 3. No, timeout, Oscar. They can't score 3 because you're not going to be there to take your shirt off with the STL Santos people that score 3 if they score 3.
Right. I mean, if they score and then everybody does it, then I'll say goodbye, guys. I'm done with it.
Oh, bittersweet.
Aaron's going 1-0 in the chat. So Aaron's got to win.
I'll stay in Miami then.
Oh, as long as you can still join us on Mondays, that maybe will.
Bring your computer with you.
I'll not join next Monday though. I'll be and probably leaving this stadium or something like that.
Oh, that's fine. But have a good time, dude. Seriously, enjoy it.
All right. So with that looks like definitely appreciate you all joining us for another episode of the Top Corner Talk.
Of Mo.
Oh, almost. Hey, real quick while you laugh, I want
disagreement of Mo. And
no, I've got one thing I have to get off my chest real quick, and then I am so glad that I made it through this entire episode with a guy who scored against City named Anthony, and I did not catch a damn stray bullet from anybody, considering the fidget spinner that's from Ajax that played for United. You guys did not go there and take the easy shot on it, and I'm proud of that. Yeah.
It's not too late. We're still recording.
No. I said it. We're done.
Where we?
Uh-oh.
I just don't think that Anthony even ever played for Man United.
I mean, he did his spins. He started scoring goals for Real Betis, but he didn't do anything hardly at United.
Isn't it
But
what
that's what I'm
they're
saying.
all
Like
doing?
it was.
Yeah,
It's,
that's fair.
Anthony is not a good representative of Man United. I think the only representation there is that Man United keeps wasting good players.
Fair. I'll take it.
So with that said, thank you all for joining. Have a blessed night.